Good morning. Hi, it's Tracy here with TierraCast. Tuesday morning, jewelry making demo. We try to do this every Tuesday. Usually we have to skip one here and there for some reason, scheduling problems or workload problems or something, but usually Tuesday mornings, 11 a.m. We live stream on both Facebook, our Facebook page, and our YouTube page. Hello, friends who are popping in, Mary and Julie and Kimberly. Nice to see you guys. Spring is here. Hopefully for you guys too, wherever you are. I know that weather has just been so crazy. But we're finally getting some like sunshine and a little bit of warmer temperatures. It's been really nice. So hope everybody else is getting some nice weather too. Hi, Wanda. Hi, Nancy. Wanda, thank you. This is a bit of an oldie, but it's a favorite. And I was just talking about how the weather's starting to get a little bit warmer. And I call this is one of my transitional scarves because all winter long I'm wearing like more shawl type scarves or really particularly thick and warm ones. So I'm not quite ready to give up the scarves because I get here to the office and it's still a little bit chilly and I need my scarves. So this is a transitional one. It's a lighter weight. So it is one of my favorites. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Shelva. Really glad to see you guys. I think I have a demo today that I think you guys will like because I'm switching my camera because what we're going to be doing is making our own head pins out of craft wire. So I'll put this on another mat so I can get it up closer to the camera. So I used some big 8mm crystal bicone beads for this original design. I created this when we were doing the jewelry designs for our Keep the Faith launch. Emily says, hi from sunny Mobile, Alabama. It's often sunny there, but she says they've got more rain coming in. Over here we want the rain. We're really grateful for it. But boy, some people have just been getting thoroughly battered. So, it's a good thing and sometimes it's not so great. Anyway, 8mm crystal bicones. When I did this design, our palette that we were working with for this product launch was rainbow inspired and stained glass inspired because it was our Keep the Faith launch, right? So I'm trying to pop in a couple of links into the chat, the comments. I've popped in the link to the project itself, and the link I just popped in is to our Keep the Faith collection, so you can kind of see what else we did for well, and you want to look in the inspiration section too. That will show you more of the pretty jewelry designs that show the styling and the sorry, I'm just holding this with the left hand and I'm typing and copying and pasting with the right. So sorry for the stagnant view. If you go into the inspiration section of our website, you will really see how the styling we used in this wonderful kind of stained glass and rainbowy kind of approach we were taking with our designs. So it was really fun to put this one together. I had to scrounge to get exactly the colors I wanted in the crystal beads to kind of reflect that motif, but I did a good job. Now for this demo, and I started to bring up so briefly, the handmade head pins we're going to make. We're going to be using some 24 gauge soft flex craft wire. Craft wire is perfect for this because it's very soft. I myself love messy wraps because they're just, a little more easygoing and they can give a very casual look to a design, give it a little bit of a more interesting and crafty flavor. Wendy says, wow, I'm demoing, talking, reading comments, and slinging links. No, I cannot make you a sandwich. That would just be one thing too many. Okay, so I didn't have enough of these pretty 8mm bicones to kind of come up with the same design. I did have some 8mm, but what I thought with some slightly different colors. But what I thought I might try is these teardrop crystal beads, which are super fun. I haven't used any of these in a long time. I can't get quite all the rainbow colors. I could only scrounge up one of the red, but that's okay. We got lots of other colors. So, oh, and I want to show this too. I did a live demo guest spot with Softlex a couple of weeks ago, and I actually demoed this technique for them in that video. So if you follow any of Softlex's live content, there's a video a couple weeks back where we actually demoed this technique, and it was around St. Patrick's Day, so I made this pretty little variation that used the olive green check glass teardrops. So that was kind of fun. So if you're interested, you can go hunt that down. Actually, I think I saved it onto our page too, but you might find it quicker if you go to Softlex's channels and find that. So I am going to use today these teardrops, I think, because I'm still wanting to do that that rainbow effect for this. It feels very springy to me. This launch happened in the winter, and like as I said, we were going for stained glass and rainbow, but the palette works for me for spring too, so that's what we're going to do. Let's see. Now, I don't know if you've ever made your own head pins before. There's a few different techniques. I'm throwing a link. This link is included if you go to the project page on our website. I included a link for, oh, here it is. I included a link to an instructional video from JTV that I found that covered like 4 different types of handmade head pins. So I thought that was a fun resource to have. What we're going to use for this particular technique is the little kind of wire wrapped head pins. Before we start doing that, let's go through what we need for this project. We need a charm. Now for this original one, I used the Crescent, Moon, and Star from the new launch, which is just lovely. Really fun little charm. Since I'm going with a spring kind of motif, I did pull out some of the Keep the Faith charms, but I'm really feeling spring. So I pulled out just a few different things that we might include. I haven't decided. I pulled out a couple of a few of our more gardeny kind of things. I also pulled out a couple of things we've done with some resins and stuff. This one feels very springy. That might be a good one. Anyway, we'll pick that later. So we need a charm. We need a clasp set. I am going to stick with the Cathedral clasp set from our Finishing Touches launch because it's got that viney decoration, and that feels very in keeping with the spring motif. I need some jump rings. Let's see. What size did I use? I think I used our very smallest ones because I wanted them to be very discreet. So these are a 2 by 3 millimeter jump ring, and I need 13 of those. Obviously, I didn't count those. I just threw a little pile of them on there. We need some cable chain. So I want one that's not too terribly heavy. So I picked one that's kind of a lighter chain, and I need 16 inches of that. Or, you may, I'm measuring, cutting, talking all at the same time. You may decide you want this to be a longer or a shorter necklace, but I think the shorter one shows off the shape of the dangles really well. So I'm going to stick with the 16 inches of cable chain. And then I need 10 of these little, of course, the instructions here call for the 8 millimeter bicones. I'm so bummed that I only had one of the reds. Oh, well. This is kind of a nice palette, okay, too. Or I could replace those gold ones with the dark red, or with the dark green. I think I might do that. Yeah, these are going to work really nicely, I think. Stick with the dark green. And then you need some 24 gauge craft wire. So I start by opening or by pulling off about 6 inches of this. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut a bunch of those. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. And I know you guys are busy, so you don't want that. So we need about 10 of these, about 6 inches long. I could have done this in advance, I suppose, to save time. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you've been watching my demos this year so far, I've used German style wire a couple times in various demos. German style wire is a great, it's also, I guess, technically a craft wire, but it's not as soft as craft wire. So it's nice when you want to hold your shape a little bit more firmly. But the regular craft wire is it's better for this, I think, because it's just a little bit softer. Okay, so I've got a 6-inch piece of craft wire, and to make this, I'm missing tools. Hold on, guys. I got to grab some nylon jaw pliers. I could use some nylon jaw pliers to straighten these a little bit. It's not strictly necessary, but I could do it. You don't want to do this too much because then that'll work hard in your wire and it'll just make it more hard. And I'm going to take a little pair of round nose pliers and I'm going to work right at the tip of the plier. So it's the very narrow bit of the plier jaws. And I'm going to just, at one end, I'm going to make 2 or 3 coils. And then I'm going to this is the tricky part. I'm going to bring the end and tuck it through the coils that I just made. And then I use my chain nose pliers to kind of grab that wire and pull it up. And then I'm going to take another pair of pliers. I use bent nose ones. And just hold that wire right above the knot so that I can get some leverage. And then I'm going to keep pulling that wire through. And then once I get it all the way through, I got a little bend in it. So I want to just straighten that out. And just pull that wire up through as much as I can. And that kind of creates a little coiled end. My first one is not the best example. I kind of got a little kink in the wire right there. But then you can see kind of what happens here. We have this little kind of coiled bottom that creates the head of this head pin so that when I string my bead on, there's something there to hold it. And that's, I think when I was watching the JTV video, I think she called these a knot style head pin. Might be making that up. I wonder if I made a note of it. Yeah, she called it a knot head pin. So now I've got my little bead strung on there, and I'm going to just bend. I'm going to use my chain nose pliers to give it a little bit of space here and also to protect the top of the crystal. And I'm just going to give that a little bend. And I'm going to start a wrapped loop, basically. But it's going to be a messy wrap. So I've made a little loop up there. And then I can just start wrapping this around. And this is the reason why I start with a nice long piece of wires, because I want plenty to create my little messy wrap. And I could have even started with a little bit more. but this will do. It's good for demonstration purposes anyway. And I wrapped that wire all the way around, and I'm just going to use my chain nose pliers to kind of tuck that end a little bit into the wrap so that it's not sticking out straight. And there we have our first little tiny. I picked the lightest color to show you, but there we go. Our first little messy wire wrap dangle. Don't you pull your wire with your Wanda's asking, don't you pull your wire with your nylon jaw pliers? You mean when I'm actually making the head pin, Wanda? Yes, certainly could, but I always feel like I have more control. I feel like those nylon jaw pliers can be slippery. But you certainly could. I'm not too worried. Nylon jaw pliers are great for when you're really trying to protect the wire and it's great for straightening the wire. They're great for when you don't want to mar the wire in any way. For something like this, I'm not too worried about marring it. I'm actually going to bend this up right here this time. And that way, maybe when I'm pulling that through, I won't get that little kink. So again, I made a couple of coils. Then I gave the wire a little bit of a bend, and then I'm threading that end through the coils. And let's use Wanda's suggestion. We'll use the nylon jaw pliers again. And I just don't feel like I have enough grip with nylon jaw pliers. And sometimes I found when making these, your little coil and your little knot sometimes will stay very nice and tidy, and sometimes it'll get a little bit organic, I guess is a good word for it. It'll get a little bit of organic shape going on. And it really is not as hard as I'm making it look here. It's a very, okay, and there's a what not to do moment. That one just got too kind of knotted at the end, and I bent it too much, and it broke. So let's try that again. Another reason why craft wire is a good material for this, because it's not horribly expensive. So if you end up having little breaks or something, it's not as if you're working with silver wire. All right, let's try this again. I don't know what's going on here. My technique is lousy today, guys. As soon as I decide to do a demo, I got it. So now I'm going to thread my bead on and do my little messy wrap. There we go. This one must have been a wee bit longer because I feel like I got a little bit more wire to work with. I know you noticed that I wasn't measuring when I was cutting. I was just eyeballing. Number 2. I'm also the last 2 I haven't I haven't, what do you call it? Used the nylon jaw pliers to straighten it. It's really just not necessary because you're gonna just be moving this wire into its other shapes. You don't really have to straighten it. At least I don't think so, you know? Different people will do this differently. And I'm finding that I can get that to pull through a little bit easier if I just use my fingers. Oops. Almost put that one on upside down. I have used this shape of bead. Let's see. Oh, Kimberly says she likes pulling against the nylon jaw pliers. Hold the nylon jaw against the knot. I'll try that, Wanda. I see what you're saying. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, guys. I was just catching up on uh, on comments. Um, you guys sound more experienced at this than me. I should have one of you guys doing the demo. And Mary says, after you coil, when you go into the coil, try going into the opposite end of the coil as if the coil were a stop bead. You can try that too. That video I linked to, the one at JTV, she showed 3 other, um, techniques for making handmade head pins, and at least I'm sorry to say I don't remember exactly what technique she showed except for one of them. She showed, how to make them by flattening the end of the wire. So she was using a heavier gauge wire and, using a hammer to flatten the end a little bit to make a kind of a rustic looking head pin. All right, I'm trying it. I'm going in the other way, Wanda. Was it Wanda who mentioned that? Gonna see what happens here. Oh, you're right. That just slips right through. Okay, that was an important tip. When you're pulling them through, if you use nylon jaw pliers to hold the knot in place, that wire slips right through. Oh, nice. Thank you, guys. I learned as much from you as you, in theory, learn from me. I like this little pile of beads here. They're starting to look very springy. I want that knot to be pulled through just a tiny bit more. You could do this with really super nice, tidy wraps too, I guess. I like the way a messy wrap just looks more kind of casual. But if you wanted this to be a very, very, you know, elegant and more tidy approach, then really doing some very neat symmetrical wraps would work. And as I said, practice probably makes perfect here, or at least as perfect as it can be for this technique. But I end up getting just quite different results with almost every knot. But it's okay, I think, because we're going for that kind of rustic, casual approach here. And Laura is popping in and saying she's excited to see this. And Laura, I mentioned earlier in the demo and also popped a link into the comments that there's a nice demo I watched on JTV for making different types of handmade head pins, not just the snotted one. They include that one in the demo as well, but also some other techniques. This one got really crazy, this little clear one. But they're looking fun. It might have been good if I had done a few of these beforehand. But then again, maybe it's good that you're seeing it demoed over and over again, just to kind of see the variation that happens and see how I can mess them up. Goodness, this little loop does not want to be tidy. When I was originally looking at using this technique, the inspiration I found was a necklace that was made of gemstone, just a variation of gemstone. I wonder if I have that picture around somewhere. It was just absolutely gorgeous. It was just teardrop shaped gemstone beads in a big variety of colors. And it was so beautiful. Let me see if I can find that. I have it. Look. I don't remember where I found it. On the internet somewhere. But look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Can you guys see that? And I don't have a source for it. But there was, whoever the designer was, just used a variety of shapes. And she was going for, I say she, assuming, but it may not have been, going for obviously a transition of colors and just used kind of different shapes. And they're all translucent, which is so beautiful. I know. Aren't they pretty, Mary? Just thought I'd share that with you. That was kind of the original inspiration for the approach I took to this, our rainbow necklace. And earlier in the demo, we were talking about going in when you thread the wire back through, which side to thread through from. And I think, I don't remember now if it was Mary or Rhonda who said that, but to go in from the other side, bizarrely, seems to work a little bit better. Logically, that doesn't make sense to me, but that end seems to tuck up in there a little bit better, maybe because it has to wrap around the side of the has to wrap around the side of the coil instead of trying to tuck itself up into the coil. Does that make sense? 3 more to go. Thanks for being so patient, you guys. Each one's its own little adventure. Um, Something that I consciously do with my wrapped loops, um, is, when you use, maybe I should wait and explain this when I'm doing the next one. When you're using the round nose pliers here, you know, and you're wrapping your wire around, so then you have your little loop. I have certainly done it myself and seen other people do it to just hold the wire. Um, you use the round nose pliers to continue holding the wire as you wrap. But what that ends up doing is it ends up leaving a little dent because you're putting pressure with plier jaws. So you end up putting a little dent in the top of your loop, which you may or may not notice in the finished design, but it is just something that I always switch to chain nose pliers and hold the loop with my chain nose pliers when I'm doing a wrap like this. Just one of those little tool I was gonna say particularities, but I don't think that's really a word. Just little personal tool thing. Oh, I got one that's gonna be naughty again. See if we can make it go through. This one might be a fail. This one might break on me. Oh, no, it did it. Huh. Now, if these were a top drilled um, crystal or stone, I think it's a lot easier to find a teardrop shaped gemstone that's top drilled that goes across instead of coming up through the bead. Um, so in that case, we would be doing little wire wrapped bales instead of these handmade head pins. That would also be a good demo. I'm not sure if I've ever done a live stream demo of that, of making wire wrapped bales. Something I should think about, and so I can demo that. There is we'll have a new product launch coming up in early May. And I have not started putting together inspirational designs for that yet, but I'll keep that in mind. Maybe I'll work that technique into one of the designs. Because those are fun too. Making wire wrapped bales. And you can also, you can do the messy approach with those, or you can do the neat and tidy approach. All right. Well, that took some time, but we've got I've got all my little dangles made now, and it does feel very, very springy. I like that. I'm going to go ahead and attach the clasp components to the ends of my chain. I think it'll just help me when I'm attaching my dangles, just to kind of have that, very clear. These are the ends of the necklace so that I can, keep my dangles centered. Is a little bit of a trick. I also, at this point, need to decide what charm I'm going to use, because the first thing I need to do is hang my charm at the center. And this was the first one I picked out when I was looking yesterday, so I think that's the one I'm going to go with. But you can see we have a lot of great kind of spring charms. I'm going to throw a link into the comments that will take you to, hold on. That will take you to the page, search results on our website. Sorry, I'm again talking and trying to copy and paste and do stuff at the same time. That theme, that search results for the link I just put in that says charms/themes will bring up all of the charms we have that kind of are gardeny and springy. We don't really have spring in our website as one of the theme to get search results by that. But oh, hey, I put the jump ring at the end of the chain for the clasp ring, but I didn't actually add the clasp ring. So anyway, the garden theme is a very good search for springy types of charms. This particular charm is from our woodland collection. It's a 1/2-inch leaf bezel, and I was using that for some resin work during that, when we were promoting that product launch. So now I'm kind of folding my chain in half, so that I can get to the center to add my charm. Let's get these out of the way. And then I love how the little image in the bezel is gonna kind of go with this perfectly. And I'm gonna do a random color arrangement here. And then I'm gonna repeat it on the other side in the same order. So the light green, blue, the white. I could also just mirror it, but I think that I liked when I made the original one, I didn't mirror it. I went in the same sequence on both sides. Does that make sense? So I was going for the rainbow with this. It was red, orange, green, blue, violet, and then red, orange, green, blue, violet. So I like that technique rather than it being mirrored. Blah. I can speak rather than it being mirrored. So let's see. Light blue, dark green, light blue, purple, dark green. That'll work. So now I'm just going to use these tiny little jump rings to start adding these. And, when you're doing this, it will depend on your chain. I want to, I don't have to be too fussy about this, but I'm just kind of laying this chain out so it's not twisted. Whatever chain you're using, you'll figure out what the distance is that you want. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going for I'm going to hang this from the fifth link, but whatever chain you're using will change that. It may have longer links or shorter links, but this is what I'm going to go with. And you may also consider, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, add it to the fifth one. That as the further up the side of the circle of the necklace, kind of the closer, because down here, this is going to be kind of going around a person's throat, right? So it'll have a larger it'll have that loop at the bottom. And then up here, it starts to hang, it's kind of hanging a little straighter. So your charms are going to look, if I kept the same number of links in between them, it would look fine, but these would look like they were a little further apart up here. So I'm going to I hung these first two on the fifth link away from each other, but now I'm going to hang this next one, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to hang it from the fourth. And once I've finished this and I hang it on a bust or I start to look at it, I may adjust that. But for now, I'm going to see how that works. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And that original one that I showed the inspiration, there was so many. This thing was just dripping with gemstones. So she kept them very close together, and there was a whole bunch of them. Such a pretty design. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. And I also, when I'm done with this, I may look at it and decide that the side of the crystal dangle that's hanging to the front is like the less pretty side, and I may flip particular dangles around. But that's just me being super picky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, down here at the lower part of the necklace, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to go a little further apart for those first two dangles. 5. Oh, good idea. Emily says, we were talking about the spacing and how it would look different depending on how high up the side of the necklace it is. Emily's suggesting do both sides, do one approach on one side, which I did, and then space them evenly on the other. That's a good idea, Emily. Let's do it. See if it really makes that much of a difference. So we'll go back to 5. We'll keep the 5 apart on this side. 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, how did I do that? I thought I had the dangle on there. Close the jump ring, and there was no dangle. Others of you, those of you who do watch my demos regularly will notice maybe that I was complaining that I had lost a pair of my bent nose pliers. I replaced them. Yay. I had a hard time being without my bent nose pliers. You like the tools you like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. I have a little, maybe even get another one. I have a little bust here, but it's so battered. I don't know if we're going to be able to see this at all. The one I had out was so battered, I would be embarrassed to show it. So I'll get a slightly better shaped one. Okay, and I don't know if you guys will be able to see this. See if I can zoom out. Not in, out. So on this side, we hung these 3 a little bit closer together so that as it's hanging down, it, that visual impression that it's because it's hanging more straight so that it doesn't look further apart. Does that make sense? And then this side, we kept them all 5 apart. And you can see it just looks like it has a little more space between them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, I might have actually put this one 6 apart or something. Or maybe it's just stuck. There we go. So you can see that it just looks a little tiny bit more spread out on that side. So big deal? Probably not, So you can use the tip and put the ones that are higher up a little closer together or not. Because it doesn't look terrible. It still looks just fine. I think I put this one on the wrong side of the link, so it's not wanting to hang very well. But anyway, there we go, guys. There's our handmade knotted head pins from Craftwire demo. I like this version. It's a little bit springy. I am thrilled to find a use for that little bezel resin charm that I made. It needed a design to live, someplace to live. So that feels pretty good to me. Hey, I'm always a little disappointed. Maybe it's better on YouTube, but There's a sad face. How come, Kimberly? Oh, does TierraCast still make an old school charm that says something like love? Yes, we do, Kimberly. She's talking about, Kimberly's talking about a charm that we made several years ago, and there was actually a whole series of them. There was love and sing and dance and play. And so they all had the word on one side, and then there's a little space for a flat back crystal. We sell them with that space empty. So the idea is people would put their own color of crystal in there. So we do still make that one, Kimberly, but we've discontinued many of the other ones because just, lack of sales. So they're a fun idea, but they didn't sell enough to warrant keeping all of those variations in the line, but we kept the love. That was the most popular one. And now you're right, this would be so darn cute with this design. So I'm going to wish me luck. Let's see how quickly I can pull up a link to that charm so you guys can actually see it on the website. I hope I'm not lying. I hope we do still I hope that one is still in the lineup. I did just do a bunch of cleaning out of discontinued product. 942244. And this one I did not clean out. Ah! Emily, I lied. This part has been discontinued. It's still in my drawer, and I missed it in my clean out, so that's why I still have a little stash of them. But I'm sorry about that. That little particular part just did not survive the most recent part cuts. So sad, but because it's adorable, I think. Thanks, guys. That was a lot of work, but pulled it off. And thank you for all the tips that you guys had for creating these knotted handmade head pins. It was fun to play. Somebody pops up with a tip, and I okay, let me try that, and that's just wonderful. I love it when people have tips that then I can try and demo how that goes, so that you guys can see too. So thank you, you guys. This was a fun one, and hopefully I will get another demo lined up for next week, and I'll get that posted either Friday or Saturday. So you guys stay tuned, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone, and hope everybody has a great week.